The Lost Boys are characters from J.M.Barrie's play Peter Pan, or The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up, and subsequent adaptations and extensions to the story. They are boys who fall out of the prams when the nurse is looking the other way, and if they are not claimed in 7 days, they are sent far away to the Neverland where Peter Pan is the captain. There are no lost girls because, as Peter explains, girls are far too clever to fall out of the prams. In film, Disney's Peter Pan films, the Lost Boys play smaller roles and are less characterized in the Disney movie, appearing more as a group than individually. They appear in other Disney works where they are named after their animal costumes: Fox, Slightly, Rabbit, Nibs, Bear, Cubby, Skunk, Tootles, and the Raccoons twins, while in Return to Neverland, they are named as their original counterparts. Tootles is silent in both films, communicating with a pad and pencil in Return to Neverland. In the original works, the Lost Boys leave Neverland and grow up, while in the Disney films they are merely tempted to do so, but change their minds and choose to remain with Peter Pan. In Return to Neverland, which takes place many years later, they are still with Peter, and have remained children. In Spielberg's sequel Hook, there are at least 24 lost boys of various ethnicity living in Neverland, whose clothes suggest that they left various civilizations at different times over the past century. They live in a giant tree on a tall rocky outcropping just offshore of the island. Twins are seen wearing Boy Scout uniforms. The Lost Boys named in the film are Ruffio, Thudbutt, Pockets, Ace, Don't Ask, Too Small, Latchboy, and No Nap. The boys are led by Ruffio, who was hand-chosen by Peter as leader when he left Neverland to grow up as Peter Banning. Initially, Ruffio refuses to believe that Peter Banning is the former leader, as do most of the boys. However, Tinker Bell and the glimpse of Peter Pan that Pockets sees in Peter Banning's face convince them, and they train him for a showdown with Captain Hook. The Lost Boys gradually come to believe in Peter, a turning point being when he manages to beat Ruffio in a heated name-calling match. When Peter finally relearns how to fly, Ruffio finally realizes who Peter is and gives Peter the Pan sword as a sign of apology and respect. The Lost Boys follow Peter into a climactic battle with Captain Hook and the pirates, armed with improvised childlike weapons. Ruffio valiantly takes on Hook while Peter rescues his daughter, Maggie. Hook fatally stabs Ruffio, who dies in Peter's arms, and declares he regarded Peter as a father. Peter's son Jack, witnessing Ruffio's death at the hands of Hook, turns away from the life of a pirate and reconciles with his father. Peter and Hook engage in a duel which culminates in Hook apparently being eaten alive by the momentarily resurrected crocodile that had eaten Hook's hand long ago. Before leaving Neverland, Peter selects Thudbutt to be the new leader, telling him, "I want you to take care of everyone who is smaller than you," to which Thudbutt agrees. Tootles appears as an old man. He was one of the many orphans whom Granny Wendy is said to have found homes for over the decades. He now seems senile, and lives with Wendy because she could not bear to send him to a retirement home. However, he is the first to recognize that Hook has arrived in London and witnesses him abduct the children. He also knows that Peter Banning is Peter Pan and remembers him just as much as Granny Wendy. After Peter and his family arrive at Wendy's house, Peter sees him crawling on the floor, and he explains, "I've lost my marbles," which Peter Banning readily agrees with. Later in Neverland, Thudbutt gives Peter a small bag containing Tootles' marbles, revealing that they were his happy thoughts and he lost them literally rather than metaphorically. Once Peter and his children return home, Peter gives Tootles his marbles and rejoices. With the help of some fairy dust that spills out of the bag, he flies out of the window to return to Neverland. In other media, two of the Lost Boys, Cubby and Slightly, appear alongside Peter Pan and Tinker Bell in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Before that, the Lost Boys appeared in the Kingdom Hearts manga as comic relief, fighting Donald over some treasure they found in Captain Hook's ship. The title of the 1987 film The Lost Boys is a reference to Peter Pan's Lost Boys. In the film, the characters retain the youth and gain the powers, including flying, by becoming vampires. They are also mentioned, along with the island of Neverland and the character Wendy, in the chorus of the song Somewhere in Neverland by All Time Low, written by Alex Gaskarth. The Lost Boys appear in the Season 2 finale and in the first episodes of Season 3 of Once Upon a Time. They are the murderous inhabitants of Neverland and servants of Peter Pan, portrayed by Robbie Kay. The death of Rufio is briefly mentioned by Captain Hook during a fight in the second episode. The Lost Boys serve as inspiration for the antagonists of the episode Lost Boys in the fifth season of the TV series Grimm, where a group of Western children live in the woods, abducting women to serve as a mother figure for their family. They abduct series protagonist Rosalie Calvert to serve as the new mother after the previous one escapes, but Rosalie is able to keep the children occupied long enough for her allies to find her. The Lost Boys appear at the end of Pan. Peter rescues Nibs and many other boys from an orphanage so they can have some fun. They're pulled onto the Flying Jolly Roger and Hook refers to them as Lost Boys.